I became kind of deeply fascinated with how humans form emotional bonds with artificial life. Digital companions can profoundly impact emotional well-being. I'm currently building Kindred, which is bringing to life beloved characters like Hello Kitty or Pudgy Penguins into the limelight as emotionally intelligent AI companions. The AI, it dynamically adapts to users' emotional contexts. It creates personalized interactions that feel genuine. So my name is Max. I am the CEO and co-founder of Kindred. So I grew up on a farm in Australia, and I kind of started entrepreneurship when I was 10, learning about selling produce, but also just my own business when it comes to selling drawings. And that's where I kind of learned business. Later in my master's and my PhD research, I became kind of deeply fascinated with how humans form emotional bonds with artificial life. And so my studies explored examples like Tamagotchi and Neopets, understanding how digital companions can profoundly impact emotional well-being. And so I led a student investment fund and an innovation consultancy, and then gravitated towards innovation hubs like Singapore and San Francisco, and that's where I'm currently at. And then I'm currently building Kindred, which is bringing to life beloved characters like Hello Kitty or Pudgy Penguins into the limelight as emotionally intelligent AI companions. So the original vision of MetaPals was always about crafting kind of beloved virtual companions that users genuinely cared for. It was a kind of like a digital pet. And so after launching the browser extension, and then we did a bunch of beta tests, we just saw incredible traction, but not just from our core audience, but also a surprisingly diverse user base. So we had people coming to me, like elderly users, requesting specific types of companions for emotional support, let's say. There were communities in Asia that wanted K-pop idols as chibi versions, or Hello Kitty, well-known IP characters. And then I had things like edutech and fintech brands coming to me about wanting to leverage our technology as a vehicle for their enterprise. And so all of these unexpected or surprising use cases continue to emerge. And so it became clear that the potential here was far beyond just the initial scope that we mapped out. And that realization kind of kickstarted this pivot, or I guess I should say rebrand, to be more diverse in terms of our illustration style and our IP partnerships, and then more in terms of the application side. Great question. It's not all flashy. I think that like the behind the hood when it comes to these IP partnerships, they're very valuable. And I would say that the two main reasons we utilize these kind of partnerships, the first is things like Hello Kitty allow us to leapfrog when it comes to traditional user acquisition hurdles. So instead of kind of starting from scratch, we're tapping into the existing communities of millions of passionate fans who really love these characters. So that ends up dramatically improving conversion rates. You think of something like Hello Kitty, you have 100 million fans worldwide. Now it's not something where it's just a Hello Kitty on a tote bag or a Hello Kitty in a game, but rather Hello Kitty coming to life in its the most genuine sense possible. And so that results in a very high conversion rate. The second, I would say, is more on one of the biggest challenges right now in the personal AI space is overcoming this sense of uncanny valley. That discomfort users feel when interacting with this faceless assistant. So for example, like Siri or Google Assistant, it's just kind of this blob. And then the alternative is something where you see this humanoid, semi-realistic avatar. And that is more kind of in crossing or not crossing that uncanny valley. We can tell that it's not an actual human, it's a kind of CGI type character. And so that gives us discomfort and also distrust. And so by using these familiar characters, we can, in a sense, bypass the psychological barrier entirely. The familiarity we have with the characters from its lore, from its storyline, and just the idea that we can trust them to that degree allows us to form those emotional bonds and then, in turn, integrate more of these companions throughout our different devices and different applications. I mean, we look into this quite a lot when it comes to user feedback and trying to understand how we maximize engagement and retention rate. What I can say is that what we identify are three main pillars of what our technology does differently that could shed light into why our engagement is so high. The first is our focus on emotionally intelligent AI. And so the AI, it dynamically adapts to users' emotional context. It creates personalized interactions that feel genuine, and it's quite important for that emotional bond. The second, which is more what you see in a visual identity, is the always-on presence. So we've chosen to use a browser extension, eventually moving towards a mobile application. However, it'll be on top of your screen. So if anyone knows Microsoft Clippy, it's that always on top of your screen presence that ends up being quite an important tool in top of mind awareness, but also just accessibility, right? Convenience of using it. And then thirdly is just our IP characters. And so that's always going to be a part of Kindred. Leveraging these IP characters just results in a very high engagement rate because you love the character in the first place. So let's use the example of Pudgy Penguin. So let's say you have your Pudgy Penguin Kindred companion. It wakes you up through your phone, right? Instead of your alarm clock, it's your Pudgy Penguin that jumps onto the screen and wakes you up. And then it shows you personalized updates about your schedule or market news. And then essentially when you go to your laptop, it seamlessly jumps over from your mobile to your laptop screen. It's ready to assist you in tasks or just simply provide you with a sense of companionship throughout your workday. Just having a little Pudgy sleeping in the corner of your screen. And let's say later, when you go out for a run, it'll jump to your smartwatch and be able to track your time or give you encouraging words. The idea here is that this is a personal companion that not only provides that functionality across your devices, but also it's something that sparks joy in your life. Not everything in life needs to be extremely functional, black and white. Sometimes there is a sense of joy and magic that you need to have that helps us, right? And that's what we are trying to go for with Kindred.
Good morning, rise and shine. Oh, all right, it's 4 a.m. Let's see if she cooked. Oh, maybe it's time for an alternative career. Let me leave this here. Setting this alarm so she doesn't fade through another generational wealth opportunity. Let's worry about that tomorrow.
So with Zero-G, I think it mostly helped very much with our backend infrastructure. We were looking for decentralized storage solutions, but also one that worked well with data availability layers, and then I guess more scalable blockchain integrations that work with AI specifically. And there really isn't something like that available beyond Zero-G's ecosystem. And so far, the Zero-G ecosystem has been the most relevant to being able to combine that decentralized aspect that we are going for, that co-ownership, whilst also being tailored towards the inference and the focus of compute within AI. And that kind of unique combination is a really tough issue, and I'm glad that Zero-G is tackling that. So I would say the synergy here lies primarily in Zero-G's robust kind of decentralized infrastructure. And so it's optimized for both large-scale data storage and then low latency availability, both of which are like extremely important to combine together to have real-time interactions. especially when you're dealing with emotionally intelligent AI agents like ours. I can't stress the importance of having that low latency, but also context awareness. It'd be great to have a companion that is able to speak really fast and reply swiftly. However, if it doesn't understand you, it doesn't understand the context, it doesn't understand what you said yesterday, then that relevancy is not great. And so zero G, because of that infrastructure focus, and in addition to that, the sense of ownership that you're allowed to have, we're able to create monetization pathways when we open up our creator economy. But overall, it's that idea that you have that robust decentralized infrastructure that's able to, like, we can rely on essentially. Like I mentioned before, I think that zero G is tackling a very, very tough problem. To combine Web3 and AI is for the most part like a suicide mission. It's such a difficult thing to try to approach because you have so many barriers when it comes to AI and Web3. And to combine the two, the synergy there is potential. However, to get past those roadblocks is going to be a very difficult road for them. And so that's why I think that zero G has the right people to approach this problem in the right way. The focus, I guess, on more low-cost storage solutions, and then, like I said, that latency is really, really important to us. And then being able to do that whilst also being decentralized is going to be like key here. And the idea of Web3 with AI, obviously, we're trying to go for lower compute, right, because of that decentralized approach. But to get to that point, it's a long road. And so I have faith in zero G. It's probably the largest ecosystem, and obviously Michael is a fantastic founder. And so that's why I'm proud to be part of the ecosystem. So this was our kind of first initial NFT launch that we did with Teletubbies. And so this was middle of last year. And the key drivers here was, one, I focused more on the onboarding experience. This was a time where it was still kind of new to have very much Web 2 onboarding flows, but also that tailored towards being able to buy, let's say, a Teletubby companion using your credit card, your debit card, GPay, Apple Pay. Also, if you want to, Bitcoin and Ethereum and crypto. And so that combination was quite important. So it tailored to pretty much everybody, and especially with a product where we are split right in the middle when it comes to Web 2 and Web 3 audiences, it was important to have that. The second is naturally the IP, so Teletubbies. Organically, we're able to attract a huge amount of users without actually doing any paid marketing. And then lastly is just actually having a live product. So as soon as you minted the NFT of the Teletubby, you directly took that to the extension and you could see it hop onto your screen within a matter of pretty much seconds to minutes. And so that having that live product available was quite important, and unfortunately kind of a rarity in the Web3 space. And so to have that was quite a big selling point. Definitely the mobile integration next. It's we've already kind of showcased a little bit of, let's say, your Pudgy Penguin jumping onto your screen on top of your laptop, but then I think the wow moment will occur when you see it on my phone and it's also on top of my apps, and then it jumps from there to my laptop. That will probably blow a lot of people's minds, and I'm so looking forward to that towards the end of the year. And then probably next year, the opening up to the ecosystem. So allowing creators to create their own avatars and then monetize those through co-ownership. That's going to be quite big as well. And then just seeing what kind of creations people want when it comes to avatars would be quite interesting as well. So what we'll do is we'll launch on mobile, and then it'll be completely a mobile thing whilst you jump over to the browser extension. So as long as you have a browser, pretty much we're compatible with any browser from Chrome to Safari, you can have it. Eventually we are moving to a desktop app, and that also will be available in all the ecosystems, including Mac and Microsoft. Dafu and KJ are definitely valuable assets. I love people, especially when it comes to mentors and guides, that feel like they've had one too many cups of coffee They're always running around, always willing to help. And as soon as I'm like, I need this kind of thing, they're essentially on the ball and running to find me connections or resources that I need. And so that was really important for me. And they also reached out and took the initiative on their side to be able to help me. And it wasn't always me coming to them, which I appreciate. Then from OnePiece Labs in general, I think that one thing that's great about it is they continue to do events globally, right? And I always get invited to them, and there's so many opportunities here to speak, to pitch, but also just to participate in these kind of events. And that helped us a lot with awareness and credibility. And then obviously OnePiece Labs being paired with the zero-G ecosystem was a powerful combo in being able to build a new community, especially and relevant to what we're building. I think choosing an accelerator that is aligned closely with the specific vertical that you're in. So in this case, it was Web3 and AI, right? And so being able to choose an accelerator that is somewhat niche in that sense allows you to have very targeted mentorship rather than generic startup advice. And especially for multiple time founders or just people that have, let's say, not early beginning off, allowing you to target directly the right people when it comes to what your startup is building allowed us to kind of focus and then ship fast. And so I think here, as a startup founder, you are always tempted to talk about this grand vision of what we're trying to build. And then you expect to go and start building on that grand vision immediately and target all these different things, multi-device and super intelligent AI and all of these different things. But it's always a good reminder to remember to think small into a degree, to think of the smallest MVP that you can to test assumptions and then ship that as fast as possible. And then being within an accelerator that's able to guide you and be in an environment where there is readily available mentorship specifically to these kind of problems has made all the difference when it comes to our product.